Okay, so this next method you're about to learn is the quadratic formula. It will give you the correct answer every single time. You can use it in every single situation when solving a quadratic equation to find your x-intercepts, to find your zeros, to find your roots. Everything will be given with the quadratic formula. So like sometimes when you factor, you can't factor it. Sometimes with completing the square, it doesn't work. Quadratic formula will work every single time. The quadratic formula is x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And it's all written out for you there on how to read it out exactly. Just like factoring, the equation must be equal to 0 for it to work. If that is not equal to 0, the quadratic formula doesn't work, so you have to move everything over. You have to tell me what your a, your b, and your c are. And then from there, we are going to plug it into the quadratic formula. I am going to rewrite the quadratic formula down here. It's a good one to memorize. It's on your NJSLA, but you also should always know how to use it. If you notice, everything gets divided by 2a. Not just the first thing, not just the second. The entire numerator gets divided by 2a. I am now going to replace every variable with its value from the top. A negative, my b is negative 5, plus or minus negative 5 squared minus 4 times 1 times my c of negative 14, all divided by 2 times 1. Okay, from there, I am going to clean it up. Negative 5 times a negative makes that a positive 5, plus or minus a square root. Negative 5 squared is 25, always a positive. Negative 4 times 1 is a negative 4 times a negative 14. So negative 4 times a negative 14 equals a positive 56 all over 2 times 1 is 2. Okay, let's keep cleaning up the inside of that square root. 5 plus or minus the square root of 81 all over 2. I can also clean up that square root again. X equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 81 is 9 all over 2. And remember, just like every other one we did, we can break that plus and minus up into two separate equations. So x equals 5 plus 9 all divided by 2, and 2 equals x equals 5 minus 9 all over 2. 5 plus 9 is 14 all over 2, which equals 7. So my first intercept is 7. 5 minus 9 is negative 4 divided by 2. X equals negative 2. If you are to do this in your calculator, you need to do 5 plus 9 first. Press enter, then divide by 2. Do not do 5 plus 9 divided by 2. Your calculator recognizes order of operations. It would do the 9 divided by 2 first. Everything on the top has to be put together and then divide. Okay, that's where you're going to make your mistake if you don't make it up here with the organization. Alright, let's try a couple more together. Flip it to the back. It equals 0, so I can just start identifying my A, my B, and my C. My A equals 3. My B equals 5, and my C equals negative 7. X equals a negative B, 5, plus or minus the square root of B squared, so 5 squared, minus 4 times my A of 3 times my C of negative 7. And all divided by 2 times 3. Okay, let's clean it up. X equals negative 5. Plus or minus the square root. You can type it into your calculator. I know you don't have access to a regular calculator, but there are programs online that will give you what this looks like. So if you were to do 5 squared minus 4 times 3 times negative 7. Oh, what did I do? Oh, that should be a 2. Square root of 109. All divided by 2 times 3 is 6. If I were to try to see what the square root of 109 is, it gives me a decimal. Remember, I don't really like decimals, so I am going to leave my answer like this. You can make it two separate answers. Negative 5 plus the square root of 109 all over 6. And 2 would be negative 5 minus the square root of 109 divided by 6. So now, if delta math just said round to the nearest 10th place, it'd be negative 5 plus, and I told you square root of 109 is 10.44 all over 6. My x would then equal negative 5 plus 10.44 divided by 6, 0.91. That would be to the nearest hundredths. And then I could also do it over here. Negative 5 minus 10.44 and divide that by 6. And my x would equal negative 2.57. So those would be the exact values of your x-intercepts. But if they don't want it, they just want you to leave the square root, you would leave it there. Alright, let's try number 2 together. If you notice, it does not equal 0, so I have to subtract the 8 to the other side. This will now say equal 0. Negative 8 is not a like term with either of those, so it's just going to get put at the end. Okay, now I can start. A equals 2, B equals negative 5, and C equals negative 8. I am now going to use the formula. X equals negative b, so negative negative 5, plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared, minus 4 times a times c. All divided by 2 times a, which is 2. Clean it up. Negative negative 5 is a positive 5, plus or minus the square root. If I plug this guy all into my calculator, so negative 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 8, I would get square root of 89 all over 4. Square root of 89 is not a perfect square, but it will equal 9.433. So you can leave your answer like this. Or if you actually want to solve, or if you need to solve, it'll be 5 plus 9.43 all divided by 4, and your other one, x equals 5 minus 9.43. 9.43 all over 4. And remember, I got the square root of 89 to be 9.43. That's where I'm getting that value. So 5 plus 9.43 divided by 4. Your first x-intercept is 3.61. That's 7 would round that 0 to a 1 for the hundredths place. And then 5 minus 9.43 divided by 4. X would equal negative 1.11, because that 7 would round that 0 to a 1. And those would be my two x-intercepts. So either answer is sufficient for the problem. And I'm going to do 3 with you. You're going to try 4 by yourself. Again, it's not equal to 0, so I need to move that 2x over. Equals 0 because they cancel. 2x squared. The negative 2x is my b, so that goes right in the middle of my a and my c. A is 2, b is negative 2, and c is 3. Okay, so I'm going to use my formula. X equals negative b, so negative negative 2, plus or minus the square root of negative 2 squared, minus 4 times my a of 2 times my c of 3, all divided by 2 times 2. Clean it up. Negative 2 squared is 4, so I'm just going to plug that in. 4 times 2 times 3. And you get negative 20 all over 4. Okay, I can stop right here. Am I allowed to take the square root of a negative number? No. So because this guy is negative, there will be no solutions. That means if you were to try to graph it, it would look something like that. It would not cross the x-intercept. Alright, our last one I'm going to do by hand. You can try it by yourself if you want to freeze and then see if we get the same answer. Okay, if you got stuck to here, what's the square root of 0? Your square root of 0 is just 0. So x equals 4 plus 0 all over 2, and x equals 4 minus 0 all over 2. X equals 4 all over 2. So, you only have one solution at x equals 2. That means your graph of your parabola would be something like this, where the only value it hits is 2 for that one intercept. Alright, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Send me an email, Google Meetup, whatever it may be. Bye.